We are now back on the same question we had a few weeks ago, where we were wondering if 10.3 was going to come, if the major patches of the expansion were going to stop at 10.2, or if we were going to have a little bit more. One of the possibilities, one of the options was, okay, maybe we are not going to have a major standard patch, so we're not gonna get a new big zone with a brand new raid as well as a new pool of Mythic Plus dungeons, but we are still going to get a new season similar to what we got in Shadowlands, where we got a fated season which did add a new season but not really any major new content out. So with the ending of BlizzCon and a few more interviews thrown out to the developers of WoW, we have gotten more info about this. And the infos are essentially confirming that we are going to get, yes, a Season 4, but no, not a 10.3 actual proper patch. Now, between this season and 10.2, which is coming out in just a few days now, we also have a few more things coming out. For example, there is 10.2.5, which is already on the PTR, and we got some announcements of what is coming in 10.2.5, including, for example, being able to fly, being able to dragon ride in all of the old zones. So including the Eastern Kingdoms, Outlands, Kalimdor, etc., etc. Those are all going to have dragon riding enabled. This is in preparation of the full system coming out in the next expansion, where you will be able to toggle, you will be able to choose between dragon riding and the standard flying. This option is going to be available straight from the start of the next expansion. Even in the first zone of the next expansion, you will be already able to choose whether or not you want to fly normally, or if you want to still continue to dragon ride. Same treatment is actually also going to be given to the Evoker's Soar in 10.2.5. Evokers are now going to be able to treat Soar as if it's a proper standalone dragon riding system in 10.2.5. And to finish, even if we don't have an actual 10.3 patch, storylines. The storyline of Dragonflight will continue through the patches before the next expansion. Now, as for Season 4 itself, it was confirmed to have fated raids, as well as, fated Mythic Plus season. We haven't been given exactly the full details yet on what this fated season will include. We only have, after all, only one other season to compare, which is the one at the end of Shadowlands. One of the features that was confirmed coming back in this new fated season is the dinar. The deterministic system to reward you with gear from the raid is also coming back in this fated season. So this was a quest which allowed you to pick and choose any raid item you wanted after defeating a certain number of enemies. It shortened the gap for you to get from the first reward to the second and then finally to the third. I believe it was something around 3 weeks to be able to get your first dinar reward, and then 2 weeks to get your second dinar reward, and after that only 1 week to get your third and final item from the dinar system. Now that has been confirmed to be coming back in this Season 4 of Dragonflight. Besides that, we don't have much else. We do know that the Mythic Plus rotation is going to change again, of course. We still don't quite know which kind of rotation we're going to have. Some players have been guessing, for example, well, I guess we are just going to be getting all of the Dragonflight dungeons back in a single season at the same time. That could be one of the solutions for Season 4. Although I think that could be quite boring, just feeling that you have to go through Season 4 while having to deal with Halls of Infusion and Neltarus and the Azure Vaults again. I think it would be cooler if we got ourselves another 2, 3 or 4 even older dungeons once more for the last season of Dragonflight. The other question, of course, besides the Mythic Plus season is going to be the raid. Last expansion we had the 3 raids, Castanatria, Sanctum of Domination and Sepulchre. rotating every week with the fated affix added to one specific raid, with the extra item level increase as a reward when the fated raid was active, with the fated system itself being an extra affix, adding some extra complexity or difficulty, or in some cases annoyances, to each and every boss. This might be the same thing that we get in Season 4. That's the most expected result, the fact that we get a rotating cycle of Vault plus a Barus plus a Murdrasil once a week rotating, if we go by the same system of the last season of Shadowlands. To be fair, there have been a surprising amount of players okay with the whole fated system. You know, personally, I find it a bit shallow. I feel like there is a drastic difference between the last expansion and this one, where the last expansion was sort of a last-minute thought-up system, just to shore the gap between the release of Dragonflight and having nothing at all, so having a fated season was just better than nothing. Whereas for Dragonflight, some players were still hooked on some high-quality hopium, perhaps expecting either a proper Season 4 with a proper, big patch and new content, while others might have been hoping for the next expansion coming out earlier, say June or July. Instead, neither of these two options are happening, and instead you get the fated season, likely coming out around the same time, around May or June, for the last 5 or so months before the release of the next expansion. It's definitely still better than nothing. It's definitely still something more than just having to go through this upcoming season, the Season 3 of Dragonflight, for a full year. Instead, now you have an extra season in between, but there was still some hope for something more than a fated season. We will have to see, of course, if it is going to be a one-to-one replica of the Shadowlands season, if the fated system for the raid is going to be exactly just affixes attached to bosses, and if the fated season in Mythic Plus is just going to be the complete Dragonflight dungeon pool with some new affix, especially in this expansion where we got rid of affixes. So in Shadowlands it made sense because we were replacing the affix we were getting every season with the fated affix, but this expansion we have not been getting seasonal affixes, so it will be also interesting to see what they do to the Mythic Plus dungeons in the fated season. Besides this, it's time to stop talking about the last season of Dragonflight, since in just a couple of days even we get the release of Season 3 of patch 10.2. So we will have other things to be busy with in just a few days, so it's time to forget everything about the distant future and focus on what's coming very, very soon. I'm going to leave you to the rest of your preparations for the release of the patch, whichever those may be, and we can take our leave for today. We are starting as usual the goodbyes by thanking all of the Patreon supporters for the contribution and the help to the growth of the channel, which as usual can also be given completely for free. You can like and comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel itself. Now, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, I was one of them, of course. I had some S-grade hopium, expecting some surprise last season instead of a fated one. I got what I deserved.